Ever wondered how hackers can manipulate databases to their advantage using SQL injections? In the intriguing world of cybersecurity, SQL injections hold a notorious reputation. They are a technique that exploits a security vulnerability in an application software, specifically the database layer. SQL, or Structured Query Language, is the language of databases. It's the tool we use to communicate with, manipulate, and manage data. From your social media profiles to banking information, SQL is the invisible force that keeps the digital world spinning. Now imagine a hacker exploiting this force, turning it against us. This is where SQL injections come into play. By inserting malicious SQL code into an application's database query, a hacker can manipulate the database to reveal information it shouldn't, or even modify or delete data. Imagine being able to alter a database with a simple line of code. That's the power of SQL injections. As we delve deeper, we'll uncover more about this fascinating yet dangerous technique. To understand SQL injections, we first need to delve into the structure of SQL commands. SQL, or Structured Query Language, is a programming language designed to manage and manipulate databases. It's like the conductor of a database orchestra, directing each piece of data where to go and what to do. The most commonly used SQL commands are select, insert, update, and delete. Each serves a unique purpose. Select retrieves data from a database, like asking a librarian for a specific book. Insert adds new data, akin to donating a book to the library. Update modifies existing data, similar to revising a book's summary in the library's catalog. Delete, as the name implies, removes data, equivalent to taking a book off the shelves permanently. Now imagine someone strolling into the library with a knack for mischief. They decide to manipulate these commands. This is where SQL injections come into play. An SQL injection is a code injection technique used to attack data-driven applications. It involves inserting malicious SQL statements into an entry field for execution. For instance, a malefactor might use a SQL injection to change the select command, tricking the database into revealing sensitive data. They could manipulate the insert command to add fraudulent data. They could abuse the update command to alter existing data to their advantage. Or they might use a SQL injection to misuse the delete command, erasing crucial data entirely. In a nutshell, SQL injections work by taking advantage of the openness of SQL commands. They're like a smooth-talking trickster, convincing the librarian to hand over the keys to the library and then wreaking havoc behind closed doors. So, a SQL injection is an exploitation of these commands, twisting them to serve a malicious purpose. It's a cyber threat that takes advantage of the inherent trust within a system, turning the system's own tools against it. In the upcoming scenes, we'll delve deeper into how SQL injections work, their impact, and how to safeguard against them. Stay tuned. Now that we have a basic understanding of SQL commands, how does one exploit these commands with SQL injections? To understand this, let's imagine a simple scenario. You're on a website and you come across a form that asks for your username and password. Under normal circumstances, you'd input your credentials, and these would be checked against a database to verify your identity. The SQL command used here might look something like this. Select asterisk from users where username =, your underscore username, and password =, your underscore password. But what if instead of your actual username, you input something a little more sinister? Let's say you type admin. Now the SQL command becomes select asterisk from users where username =, admin, and password =, your underscore password. The double hyphen is a comment in SQL, which means anything after it is ignored. So effectively, the command only checks if there's a user named admin, completely bypassing the password check. This is a very basic example of how SQL injections work. The attacker is essentially manipulating the SQL command by inputting malicious code. This is possible because the website blindly trusts the user's input, but the damage doesn't stop there. A savvy attacker could use SQL injections to not just bypass login checks, but also to modify, delete, or even extract data from the database. For example, imagine if an attacker inputs this admin, drop table users. The SQL command now becomes select asterisk from users where username =, admin, drop table users, and password =, your underscore password. As you can guess, this command deletes the entire user's table from the database. This highlights the importance of sanitizing user inputs. Any input field that directly interacts with the database is a potential gateway for SQL injections. Therefore, it is crucial to treat all user inputs as untrusted and to properly sanitize them before allowing them to interact with the database. And voila, the database has been manipulated, all thanks to a simple SQL injection. So, we've managed to alter a database using an SQL injection, but what does this mean in reality? Well, let's dive deep into the possible impact of these seemingly innocent SQL injections. When a hacker successfully performs an SQL injection, they gain access to sensitive data stored in databases. This could be anything from personal user information like names, emails, and passwords to confidential business data. As we've seen in several high-profile cases, data breaches can lead to significant financial losses and reputational damage. But the havoc doesn't stop there. SQL injections can also grant hackers control over your system's functionality. They can manipulate data, alter table structures, or even shut down your system entirely. Imagine the chaos of having your online services down for even a couple of hours. It's a nightmare no business wants to experience. Now let's consider a wider perspective. In a world where we're increasingly reliant on digital systems and databases, the impact of SQL injections extends far beyond individual websites or businesses. They pose a significant threat to our digital infrastructure, affecting everything from online banking and e-commerce to healthcare systems and government services. This is why cybersecurity, and specifically SQL injection prevention, is of utmost importance. It's not an overstatement to say that we're in an ongoing battle with hackers, where our data and systems are the battleground. As they develop new techniques, we must continually improve our defenses to protect against them. The reality is, SQL injections aren't just a technical issue for IT professionals to worry about. They're a societal issue that affects us all. In the same way we'd want our homes and physical possessions protected, we should also want our digital data and systems to be secure. So, the next time you're brushing off the importance of cybersecurity, remember the potential devastation that can be caused by something as simple as an SQL injection. It's not just about protecting data, it's about ensuring the continuity of our digital world. As you can see, the effects of SQL injections can be quite devastating, making it a tool of choice for many hackers. It seems almost impossible to protect against these SQL injections, doesn't it? Well, not exactly. Sure, SQL injections can seem like a daunting adversary, but with the right strategies, you can effectively secure your databases. Let's delve into some of these strategies. Firstly, we have data sanitization. This involves cleaning and validating user input data before it's processed by your application. By ensuring that all user inputs are stripped of any potentially harmful SQL code, you can significantly reduce the risk of SQL injection attacks. But how do we sanitize data? Well, there are several ways, including using built-in functions to filter out suspicious input, or implementing regular expressions to detect and remove any SQL syntax. This way, even if an attacker tries to input malicious code, your application won't execute it. A second strategy is to use prepared statements. These are SQL statements that are sent to and parsed by the database server separately from any parameters. This way, it's impossible for an attacker to inject malicious SQL. You see, when you use a prepared statement, the database differentiates between the actual SQL code and the data being passed in. This means that even if an attacker tries to insert SQL code into the data, it won't be treated as part of the SQL command. Instead, it will be treated as a benign string of text. Lastly, least privilege principle is another effective defense mechanism. This principle involves assigning the least amount of privilege necessary for a user to perform their tasks. By limiting the permissions of each user, you can prevent an attacker from gaining access to sensitive information or executing harmful commands, even if they manage to exploit a vulnerability. While SQL injections can be harmful, with the right knowledge and tools, you can fortify your databases against them. Remember, a fortified database is not just about implementing the right strategies. It's about understanding how these strategies work and constantly updating your defenses in response to evolving threats. So keep learning, keep evolving, and stay one step ahead of the attackers. So, what have we learned about SQL injections today? We've journeyed through the intriguing world of SQL injections, understanding their anatomy and how they function. We've seen that SQL injections are manipulative codes that exploit vulnerabilities in a database's design, thereby gaining unauthorized access to sensitive information. We've delved into the impact of these SQL injections, noting the potential for significant damage. They can lead to data theft, loss of data integrity, and even system shutdowns, posing a serious threat to companies and individuals alike. But the good news is we've also learned about various protection methods. By using parameterized queries, escaping user input, and implementing strong validation checks, we can build a robust defense against SQL injections. Regular updates and patches also play a crucial role